History isn't just dusty textbooks and heroic tales. It's filled with nightmares that actually happened, twisted experiments, bizarre punishments, and events so dark they were deliberately buried. These aren't legends or folklore. These are documented facts that historians whisper about but rarely teach in school. Today, we're diving into 36 of the most disturbing moments in human history, the kind that make you question everything you thought you knew about civilization. Fair warning, once you know these, you can't unknow them. Let's count them down. Number 1. The Dancing Plague of 1518. In July 1518, a woman in Strasbourg started dancing in the street. Nothing weird yet, right? Wrong. Within a week, 34 others joined her. Within a month, 400 people were dancing uncontrollably. Day and night, no music, no reason. Authorities thought the cure was more dancing. They built stages and hired musicians. The outcome? Many dancers collapsed from exhaustion, strokes, and heart attacks. Dozens died, literally danced to death. To this day, nobody knows what caused it. The lesson? Sometimes the cure is worse than the disease, and history doesn't always make sense. Number 2. The Cadaver Synod Pope. Stephen VI really hated his predecessor. So in 897 AD, he did what any rational person would do. He put the corpse on trial. They dug up Pope Formosus, 9 months dead, dressed him in papal robes, and propped him up in court. A deacon spoke for the corpse. The charges? Perjury and being pope illegally. The verdict? Guilty. They stripped the body, cut off 3 fingers, and threw him in the Tiber River. Fishermen later pulled him out and reburied him twice. The punchline? Nothing says stable leadership like putting a rotting corpse on trial. Number 3. Unit 731's human experiments. During W2, Japan ran a biological warfare unit in Manchuria. They called it research. History calls it a horror show. Scientists infected prisoners with plague, cholera, and anthrax, without anesthesia. They performed vivisections on live subjects to study disease progression. They tested frostbite by freezing limbs, then testing treatments. The death toll? At least 200,000 people. After the war, the U.S. granted the scientists immunity in exchange for their data. The twisted irony? The perpetrators never faced trial. They became professors and businessmen instead. Number 4. The Blood Eagle. Execution Vikings didn't do things halfway, especially executions. The Blood Eagle was their masterpiece of terror. They'd cut open your back, break your ribs outward like wings, and pull out your lungs while you were still alive. The victim was supposed to die silently to enter Valhalla. Did it actually happen? Historians debate this. Some think it's myth. Others point to saga descriptions too detailed to be fiction. The takeaway? Real or not, someone imagined this and wrote it down. That alone is disturbing. Number 5. The Radium Girls. The 1920s, young women painted watch dials with radium paint. Managers told them it was safe. So safe they licked their brushes to keep points sharp. The girls glowed in the dark after work. They thought it was fun. Then their jaws started disintegrating. Their bones crumbled. Tumors grew everywhere. The company's response? Denial and lawsuits. The girls fought back, and their case led to worker safety laws, but most died before seeing justice. The lesson? When your boss says it's safe, maybe don't lick the radioactive paint. Number 6. The 1918 Boston molasses flood. A giant tank holding 2.3 million gallons of molasses exploded in Boston's North End. Sounds almost funny, right? A 25-foot wave of molasses roared through streets at 35 mph. It crushed buildings, flipped vehicles, and drowned 21 people. Survivors described victims trapped, slowly suffocating in the thick, sticky syrup. The aftermath? Cleanup took weeks. The harbor was brown for months. You could smell molasses for decades. The irony? Dying in a sweet tsunami is possibly the worst way to go. Number 7. Lobotomies for mental health. In the 1940s-50s, doctors thought the cure for mental illness was scrambling your brain with an ice pick through your eye. Socket Dr. Walter Freeman popularized the transorbital lobotomy, a 10-minute procedure he performed in his van. No anesthesia, no sterile conditions. He did over 3,000 personally. The results? Many patients became vegetables. Some died. A few improved, but most lost their personality forever. Rosemary Kennedy, JFK's sister, was one victim. The punchline? Freeman lost his license after a patient died during his 25th attempt on her. Number 8. The Great Emu War in 1932. Australia declared war on emus. Yes, the birds. Farmers complained that 20,000 emus were destroying crops. The military deployed soldiers with machine guns. They figured it'd be quick. The outcome? The emus won. They scattered, dodged bullets, and absorbed hits without going down. After a month and 10,000 rounds fired, soldiers killed maybe 1,000 birds. The lesson? Never underestimate flightless birds, or Australia. Number 9. Gilles de Rais, the original Bluebeard, this 15th century say. French nobleman fought alongside Joan of Arc. Then he became one of history's worst serial killers. After the war, de Rais retreated to his castle and began kidnapping children, mostly boys. He tortured and murdered at least 140, possibly hundreds more, in occult rituals. His downfall? He confessed everything in graphic detail at trial, showing no remorse. He was hanged and burned in 1440. The horror? He was a national hero first. Nobody suspected until it was far too late. Number 10. The Poison Squad. In the early 1900s, American food had zero regulations. Formaldehyde in milk, borax in butter, you name it. Dr. Harvey Wiley recruited volunteers to eat poisoned food daily and document the effects. They called themselves the Poison Squad. For years, they consumed measured doses of toxic preservatives. The result? Many got sick, some permanently, but their suffering led to the Pure Food and Drug Act of 1906. The takeaway? Your safe food supply exists because a dozen guys volunteered to be poisoned. Number 11. Tarari, the hungriest. Man in history, this 18th century French soldier could eat anything, and we mean anything. Tarare consumed live animals, rocks, whole baskets of apples, and once, allegedly, a toddler. His body temperature was abnormally high, he sweated constantly, and doctors said his mouth was like a furnace. Medical experiments? They fed him a wooden box containing documents. He pooped it out intact. They suspected him of eating a 14-month-old child and kicked him out of the hospital. He died at 26. Doctors found his stomach abnormally large and his body rotted from the inside. Number 12. Hear the Bone Wars 2. Paleontologists, Othniel Marsh and Edward Cope, hated each other so much they nearly destroyed American paleontology. Starting in the 1870s, they sabotaged each other's digs, bribed workers, and even dynamited fossil sites so the other couldn't excavate. They published sloppy research just to claim discoveries first. The legacy? They discovered 142 new species but died broke and bitter. Their feud set science back decades. The lesson: pride is expensive, especially when you're blowing up dinosaur bones. Number 13. The Plague Doctor costume. Those creepy bird masks weren't just fashion. They were protective equipment during the Black Death. Doctors stuffed the beaks with herbs and flowers, believing bad air caused plague. Spoiler, it didn't work. The costume probably made things worse by trapping infected breath. The reality? Plague doctors were often undertrained or not doctors at all, just anyone desperate enough to take the job. Many died. The irony? The scariest thing in plague times was supposed to be your healer. Number 14. The Donner Party in 1846. A group of American pioneers got trapped in the Sierra Nevada mountains during winter. They ran out of food, so they ate each other. Survivors admitted to cannibalizing the dead, and some evidence suggests they may have murdered the weak to speed things up. Of 87 people, only 48 survived. Rescuers found gnawed bones, mutilated corpses, and survivors too traumatized to speak clearly. The lesson? Always take the established route. Shortcuts can get you eaten. Number 15. The Body Snatchers of Edinburgh in 1828. William Burke and William Hare realized corpses were worth money. Medical schools paid well for dissection subjects. Instead of grave robbing, they just made fresh corpses. Over 10 months, they murdered 16 people, selling the bodies to Dr. Robert Knox. The outcome? Burke was hanged and publicly dissected. Ironic justice. His skeleton is still displayed in Edinburgh. Hare testified against Burke and walked free. The punchline? Burke's skeleton has been seen by more medical students than any corpse he sold. Number 16. The brazen bull. Ancient Greek tyrant Phalaris commissioned a bronze bull as an execution device. Victims were locked inside while a fire was lit underneath. The bull had acoustic tubes that turned screams into bull-like bellowing. Essentially, it roasted people alive while making music. Poetic justice? The inventor Pericles was the first victim. Phalaris wanted to test it. Later, when Phalaris was overthrown, he was also roasted in his own bull. The lesson: if you invent a torture device, don't demonstrate it for the tyrant. Number 17. Project MK-Ultra from 1953-1973. The CIA ran mind control experiments on unwitting Americans. They dosed people with LSD, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, and torture. They targeted prisoners, mental patients, and even their own agents. One scientist, Frank Olson, was dosed without knowing, then mysteriously fell from a hotel window. The aftermath? Most records were destroyed before Congress investigated. We only know fragments. The terrifying part? We'll never know the full extent or if it really ended. Number 18. The Halifax explosion. In 1917, two ships collided in Halifax Harbor. One carried 2,900 tons of explosives. The resulting blast was the largest man-made explosion before the atomic bomb. It leveled 2 square kilometers, killed 2,000 instantly, and left 9,000 injured. A tsunami followed. Then a blizzard hit the next day. One horrifying detail? The shockwave was so powerful, it created a black rain of soot and debris that fell for hours. The lesson: sometimes disasters stack like a nightmare combo meal. Number 19. The guillotines. Last use: France used the guillotine until 1977, the same year Star Wars premiered. Hamida Jandubi was the last person executed by guillotine. It happened behind prison walls because public executions had become too controversial. The context? While the world watched Luke Skywalker, France was still beheading people with an 18th century machine. The absurdity? We had moon landings and disco, but still chopped off heads. Number 20. The exploding whale in 1970. A dead whale washed up on an Oregon beach. Officials decided to blow it up with dynamite. They used way too much. The blast sent chunks of blubber flying hundreds of feet, crushing a car and coating spectators in rotten whale. The aftermath? The pieces were too big to move. They had to bury what was left anyway. The lesson? Sometimes the government's solution is worse than the problem, and always stand upwind of exploding whales. Number 21. The Judas Cradle. Medieval interrogators were creative. The Judas Cradle was a pyramid-shaped seat where victims were slowly lowered onto the point. Gravity did the work. The torturer controlled how fast you descended. It could take hours, days even. Victims often died from infection, not the actual impalement. The cruelty? It was designed to maximize suffering while keeping you alive as long as possible. The horror? Someone sat down and designed this, drew blueprints, built a prototype. Number 22. The Children's Crusade in 1212. Thousands of children marched toward Jerusalem to peacefully convert Muslims through divine intervention. They never made it. Many were sold into slavery in Mediterranean ports. Others died of starvation and disease. Some sources suggest they were simply con artists' victims from the start. The outcome? 0 made it to Jerusalem. Most were never seen again. The tragedy? Adults let it happen, even encouraged it. Number 23. Victorian mummy unwrapping parties in the 1800s. British aristocrats hosted parties where they'd unwrap Egyptian mummies for entertainment. They'd invite guests, serve champagne, and peel back ancient bandages like it was a game show. Then they'd grind up leftover mummy bits to make medicine. The disrespect? Priceless archaeological artifacts destroyed for fun. Countless historical records lost forever. The irony? They called themselves civilized while desecrating the dead. Number 24. The Rat King. Phenomenon. Rat King is when dozens of rats get their tails tangled together into one grotesque mass. They can't separate and die slowly. Historically, people saw them as omens of plague. Museums have preserved specimens. Yes, they're real. The horror? Imagine being trapped with dozens of panicking rats, all of you slowly starving together. The mystery? How does this even happen naturally? Number 25. Sawney Bean's cannibal clan in 16th century Scotland. Legend says Alexander Sawney Bean led a family of cannibals in a coastal cave. For 25 years, they allegedly ambushed travelers, murdered them, and ate them. The clan grew to 48 members, all products of incest. The discovery? Authorities found the cave filled with pickled body parts and human remains. The entire clan was executed without trial. The debate? Some historians think it's propaganda. Others point to the detailed records. Number 26. The Groom of the Stool in Tudor England. Someone had the job of literally wiping the king's butt. The Groom of the Stool was a high-ranking noble who attended the king during bowel movements. It was actually a prestigious position. Close proximity meant power and influence. The perks? Land, money, and the king's ear, literally. The lesson? Throughout history, people have done anything for power. Even that. Number 27. The Hyena Men of Ethiopia. In Harar, Ethiopia, men have fed wild hyenas by mouth every night for generations. They stick meat between their teeth and let hyenas take it. It started as a way to appease spirits. Now it's a tourist attraction. The risk? Hyenas have the strongest bite of any mammal. One wrong move and your face is gone. The absurdity? They do this voluntarily, for free. Number 28. The suicide forest Aokigawa Forest at the base of Mount Fuji is Japan's most popular suicide site. Since the 1950s, hundreds have walked in and never walked out. Signs throughout the forest beg people to reconsider. Authorities conduct annual sweeps to find bodies. The atmosphere? So dense that sound is muffled. GPS fails. Compasses spin. It feels like another world. The tragedy? Every personal item left behind represents a life lost. Number 29. Pear of Anguish. This medieval device was a metal pear inserted into body cavities, mouth, rectum, or vagina, then slowly cranked open. It didn't just hurt. It mutilated internal organs permanently. Victims often died from internal bleeding or infection. The use? Punishing liars, blasphemers, and women accused of witchcraft or adultery. The cruelty? It was designed to destroy without killing quickly, prolonging the agony. Number 30. The Cottingley Fairies. In 1917, 2 English girls took photos of fairies in their garden. Experts believed them, including Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, creator of Sherlock Holmes. For decades, the photos were considered proof of fairies. Spiritualists built entire beliefs around them. The truth? In 1983, the girls, now elderly, admitted they were paper cutouts. They'd fooled the world for 66 years. The lesson? Even brilliant people believe what they want to believe. Number 31. The Tuskegee Syphilis Study from 1932-1972. The U.S. Public Health Service told 600 black men they were receiving free health care. They weren't. They had syphilis, and doctors wanted to study the disease's natural progression without treatment. Even after penicillin became available, they withheld it. The outcome? Dozens died. Many infected their wives. Children were born with congenital syphilis. The legacy? Medical distrust in black communities, and rightfully so. Number 32. The Killing Fields of Cambodia under Pol Pot's regime, 1975-1979. The Khmer Rouge murdered 1.7 million Cambodians, a quarter of the population. They targeted intellectuals, professionals, even people who wore glasses. They killed babies by smashing them against trees. The goal? An agrarian utopia? The death toll? Entire generations wiped out. Mass graves are still being discovered. The horror? It happened in our parents' lifetime. The world watched and did nothing. Number 33. The Catacombs of Paris below Paris. 6 million skeletons are stacked in 200 miles of tunnels. In the 1700s, cemeteries overflowed. Bodies were literally falling into basements, so they moved everyone underground. Now it's a tourist attraction. The creepy part? There are illegal sections where people get lost and die. Some tunnels remain unexplored. The question? How many people have vanished down there? Number 34. The Dyatlov Pass incident. In 1959, 9 Soviet hikers died mysteriously in the Ural Mountains. Their tent was cut open from the inside. They fled into freezing weather, some barely dressed. Investigators found strange injuries: crushed ribs without external trauma, missing eyes and tongue, radioactive clothing. Theories? Avalanche, infrasound, military testing, UFOs. Nobody knows. The mystery? After 65 years, we still have no definitive answer. Number 35. Castle Itter. Nazis and Americans fight together. May 1945. American soldiers, Wehrmacht troops, and French prisoners fought side by side against the SS Castle Itter, held high-value French prisoners. As the war ended, SS troops tried to execute them. An Austrian resistance member convinced Americans and defecting Wehrmacht soldiers to defend the castle. The outcome? They won. It's the only battle where Americans and Germans officially fought together in war. The lesson? Sometimes the enemy of your enemy really is your friend. Number 36. General Plan Ost. You know about the Holocaust. But did you know Hitler had a plan to kill 80% of Poland and 50–75% of all Slavs? General Plan Ost was the Nazi blueprint for Eastern Europe. Enslave or exterminate 30–45 million people, then colonize the land with Germans. The scale? It made the Holocaust look like Phase 1. The full plan would have killed over 100 million. The only reason it didn't happen? They lost the war. From dancing plagues to genocide blueprints, history is darker than any horror movie. These aren't myths or exaggerations. They're documented facts that really happened. Which one disturbed you the most? Let us know in the comments. And remember, the scariest part isn't that these things happened. It's that humans did them to each other and could do them again. Sweet dreams. Disturbing, right? Which fact stuck with you the most? Drop it in the comments, pick your side, and hit like and subscribe for more dark history that keeps you thinking.